Hi, readers. It's Lori, and I have a book haul for you. These are the books I hauled in the month of June. It got a little large this month, and I'm grateful that I had not set the goal to read everything I hauled this month because it would have been impossible. Let's start with Book of the Month. This month, I chose two books, and I plan to read both of these if I complete the catch-up-a-thon, read-a-thon. So I talked about them in that video as well. But The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer, which is a book about a contest that involves books and a series of books written by Jack Masterson, and a teacher's aide is entering into the contest. So it's marketed as Willy Wonka for book lovers. I'm very excited about this. I'm not going to lie. There's something about this premise that really excites me. And most people have been talking about it favorably, I would say. And then The Whispers by Ashley Audrain. I said it right this time. Thriller. This involves a child who falls from his room window, and while he's in bed, and there's a party going on outside in the neighborhood. And so this book follows kind of the reactions of the neighbors and the mother who's actually not reacting. Obviously, that's a very traumatic ordeal. This is her second novel, and it says it's chilling. I'm guessing it's a combination between thriller, which the push was, but also she does a great job at sort of understanding humans and human relationships and reactions. And so she's a solid author for me. This one I hauled. I don't plan to read this next month or maybe anytime really soon, but I just talked about this recently, and I think it was the 54321 tag. This is one of my favorite books of all time, and I didn't have it. So I ordered it from Pango, and it came in, and this is actually an excellent copy. For those of you who wonder sometimes about Pango, and whether or not the people that you order from are accurately describing these books. I suppose it is possible that they are not always, but in this case, yes. First edition, beautiful, beautiful condition. Only a little bit of tape on the top, so there might be a tiny little tear here in the cover, but other than that, I'm very, very happy with this. Tell the Wolves I'm Home is a contemporary fiction, beautifully written story, in my opinion, about a young girl who is wrestling with the distance that is created between her and her brother. They've been very close. There's a pretty disparate amount of years in their ages. And she's living with her parents, but she doesn't get to see him as much. But when she does, their time is just joyous. And then he dies, and she realizes then that he had some secrets that he was keeping. He had another kind of life that he did not want to share with his parents, or maybe his parents didn't want it shared with her. And she meets a man at the funeral who slips her a note and tells her that he wants to meet her. I absolutely adored this novel when I read it a while ago, and I really do want to reread it, but I absolutely had never collected it, and so this was a curation purchase for me. I won't talk about each one of these, but Megan went to a book sale, a used book sale in New Orleans one day, and texted me and asked if there was anything I wanted, and I said, if you can find some Patricia Cornwell's, I'm recollecting those. So she did. So I have Cruel and Unusual, All That Remains, Point of Origin, and then this did not need to be in there. I just realized this I got from a little free library the other day. I have not been a huge reader of James Patterson, certainly not Alex Cross novels. I read one of his co-written works, I think with Bill Clinton. It was something about the president, I think. But I don't know, London Bridges, it just did it for me. So So I have a couple of used paperbacks, but they're all in pretty good condition. And again, these are curated purchases. And this is just I'm going to see if I like this, and I'll probably pop it back into a little free library when I'm done. Then Megan also brought me Unraveling Oliver, which I had never heard of. And I'm not sure if she acquired this from the bookseller and thought I would like it, or if this is a read that's been on her shelves for a bit. But this is written by Liz Nugent, a new author to me as well. So the premise of this one, Oliver and his wife Alice are, like, I think, writers and illustrators of children's books, and everything seems great until one night Oliver eats dinner and then brutally murders Alice. Then there's a discovery of some other things in Oliver's life that no one knew about. And apparently there are many of them. And so what I love about this premise is it says, with its insight into the mind of a psychopath emerging from the wreckage of his own misbegotten past, Unraveling Oliver is a chilling page turner, brilliantly crafted and unexpectedly moving by a stunning new voice in fiction. They're comparing it to the talented Mr. Ripley as well. So this is a tiny one. I would love to get to this sooner than later. She may have told me, I'm going to pull this sticker if I can. She may have told me that she wanted to see if I could list it on Pango. That child is very patient, because she has brought me several books to list on Pango and I have not. But I definitely want to read this before I do something else with it. And I'll check in with her this weekend when we see each other and figure out, like, how did this come to me again? Because I think she kind of handed it to me as I was leaving the last get together we went to. I shopped at Blackwell's in the month of June. I ordered 3 books from Blackwell's. One has not yet come. That is Fourth Wing, which we'll talk about later, but I probably didn't get in time to get that first edition from anyone. Anyway, I really love ordering books from the UK because sometimes they have covers that are unique and sometimes they have access to books that maybe I don't have access to. So in this case, this was a cover change for me and a book that I want to read now that she has won both the Pulitzer Prize as well as the Women's Book Prize for fiction. She has been blurbed by Kate Atkinson and Marian Keyes. Kate Atkinson, I definitely love. I've read another Barbara Kingsolver in my life, and I can't for the life of me now think of what it was. Let me look. Gosh, it's not marked on Goodreads. I have no idea, but I remember vividly listening to a Barbara Kingsolver in days of yore when I had a Walkman and I walked in my old neighborhood where I currently live now. I just do not remember what it was. It was not the Poisonwood Bible. I know that. It was something a while ago. Nevertheless, Demon Copperhead, very popular these days. I love this cover. It is a smaller print because it's paperback and because it's a smaller size. So this child's name is Demon, which is tricky in and of itself. He grows up in Appalachia, which, as many of you know, is a very poor area of the United States. And there are a lot of novels written about that particular region. He is, I think, abandoned perhaps by his family. And he begins to engage in some things. And I'm not sure a lot of what happens in this plot, but he definitely is a survivor, is my sense of it. And it is based on, it's kind of a retelling of David Copperfield. So Demon Copperhead is pretty popular these days, and most people that I follow have really enjoyed it. I have no doubt that I will too. I do think that listening to it at the same time will be a key for me because this is pretty tiny print. I wish there was a way to figure out before you order something how tiny the print is. This one was an anticipated read for me, and I found it at Blackwell's, and that's Mark Lawrence's book 1 in the library trilogy, and this one is called The Book That Wouldn't Burn. I would, I guess, classify this as fantasy, maybe a little bit of sci-fi. It is reminding me, it gives me Golden Compass vibes. if you've ever read the Golden Compass trilogy by Philip Pullman, this one gives me that. So the book jacket says, Ivar has lived his whole life trapped within a vast library older than empires and larger than cities. Levira has spent hers in a tiny settlement out on the dust where no one goes and nightmares stalk. The world has never noticed them. That's about to change. And Robin Hobbs says, if you like dark, you will love Mark Lawrence. George R.R. Martin says he's an excellent writer. All books, no matter their binding, will fall to dust. The stories they carry may last longer. They might outlive the paper, the library, even the language in which they were first written. The greatest story can reach the stars. Right? That's why I wanted it so bad. What's interesting to me is Mark Lawrence was born in Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, which is where my partner was born and raised for a little bit of time, although she doesn't talk about that. But moved, his parents were British, and so they moved to the UK when he was 1 year old. And then he came back to the US after he had finished college. He worked on some research projects, including the Star Wars Missile Defense Program. Is that a joke? But he has another trilogy called The Broken Empire, which has been acclaimed as a groundbreaking work of fantasy. So if any of you have ever read anything by Mark Lawrence, please do let me know. This is a chunker. It's over 500 pages, but I think it's 500 pages of goodness. I hope so anyway, because I've really anticipated that. And the last one I just got yesterday. So I'm filming this the very last day of this month, and that is 0 Days by Ruth Ware. You know, Ruth Ware is an auto-buy author for me. I don't want to glare you out of the world here. And, they're not all 5-star reads for sure, but I think that this one is going to be a good one. I hope so. There are people who either love Ruth Ware or do not love Ruth Ware. And I do adore her because she does remind me of that kind of first genre of mystery writers or that first pack of mystery writers that I read when I was young, including Agatha Christie and P.D. James and some other people. I don't know. She has kind of a vibe that reminds me of that. So this follows Jacinta, who is called Jack, and her husband Gabe, and they are security penetration specialists for a living. Jack finds her husband dead and doesn't know what happened and is obviously the suspect. So Jack goes on the run, and police are chasing her to discover where she is, because they're pretty certain she's the one who killed her husband. But there's something else, and it says it's a non-put-downable, heart-pounding novel. This is a Barnes & Noble special edition. That's where I got it yesterday. I just came upon it actually by accident, going in to get a glass of iced tea, and this was there, and it was on sale, and it's an exclusive edition, which I appreciate. So I popped this one in at the last minute, and I likely will get started on this sooner than some of these others, but they're always quick reads for me too, Ruth Ware's. They're plotted nicely. They're pretty solid. So, okay, that is my book haul for the month of June. That's 11 books. Again, I'm not going to get to them in the month of July, but hopefully July will be a little bit calmer in terms of a haul. We'll see though, because I didn't get to do my little free library jaunt with Megan on the day we had planned. So we have rescheduled it to July. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. I would love to hear if you have read any of these, or if you have hauled any of these yourself, or if they seem like something you might want to put on your list. I always appreciate your comments, and when you share with me some of the ones that you are excited about as well, and some of the ones that you've already read, that's always fun for me. So keep the comments coming. Thank you for all your support. Welcome, and thank you to new subscribers. I see I had a few of those this week. That's always appreciated. And as always, happy reading. Bye.